Communication is key for any small business to succeed, and Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol, or DHCP, is here to help. DHCP can be used to assign IP addresses to DHCP clients. In this edition of Tech Talks, we'll configure the CBS350 switch as a DHCP server. Next. Let's get started. First, we need to make sure that we are in Advanced Settings. We'll click on IPv4 Configuration and click on DHCP Server. Here, we'll choose Properties. All we have to do here is enable the DHCP server status and click Apply. We can see a message informing us that the switch can't be the DHCP server while it's a client. The reason we'd see this message is if we had our switch connected to another device that was a DHCP server. If we were configuring a switch and it was not a DHCP client, we would not see this message and would be able to enable the switch as a DHCP server. For this example, we'll need to remove the CBS350 Ethernet cable that is connected to the DHCP server from the switch's port. Currently, our switch is a DHCP client. We are connected to a router that is the DHCP server. So we'll go ahead and remove that Ethernet cable from the switch. Pull it right out. We'll then need to statically assign an IP address to the switch. To do this, we'll click IPv4 interface. Under the IP address type, we can see that the address was received from DHCP. We'll need to remove this address and create a static IP address. Let's click on Add. We can see that we are currently in VLAN 1. We'll leave that be. For the IP address, we'll change it from dynamic to static. Now we can enter in our IP address and our network mask. To save, we'll click Apply. We'll receive a Confirm Interface Creation message because the interface that we're trying to replace has an IP address from a DHCP server. However, we need to remove that IP address and assign it to a static IP address, so we'll click OK. Since we've changed the IP address of the switch, we'll lose connection to the switch's interface. But we don't need to worry. That's what's supposed to happen. Now, we've got to open a new browser page and enter the static IP addresses we just assigned to the switch. Once that's up, we can go ahead and log back into the switch. Again, we must make sure we're in Advanced Settings. Again, we'll click on IPv4 Configuration, then the DHCP server, and finally, Properties. We'll choose to enable the DHCP server status and click Apply. Next, we'll go to Network Pools. Here, we'll add a new pool. We'll name it, enter the subnet address, and choose the network mask. The address pool start will be the first IP address available in the pool, and the address pool end will be the last address available in the pool range. We can choose the least duration. Here, we've got it selected as 1 day. After that 1 day, the IP addresses will expire, and they'll need to be renewed by the DHCP server. This is an automatic process. We're going to leave the rest of the options as default. At the bottom, we can choose Apply to continue. Next, we're going to go to Excluded Addresses. You guessed it, we're going to click on Add. Here, we can add a single IP, as well as a range of addresses. Here we can see that these are the excluded addresses that will not be assigned. Now that we have the DHCP server configured on the switch, we'll try to have a DHCP client request an IP address. Under Address Binding, we can see the addresses that have been assigned to a DHCP client. Here, the address 10.15.1.103 was assigned to a client. And that's all there is to it. That's how to configure the CBS350 as a DHCP server. Thanks for watching this edition of Tech Talks. We'll see you next time.